Welcome to Sung's Garage. Now, this is more than just a place to work on cars. This is a place where I'm able to connect with people, talk story, and share them with the world. Now, on today's podcast, my producer Anson and we discuss Oppa, our current build, a 1963 Datsun 320. We walk through pretty much the entire truck and what's been worked on before Oppa was sent off to get his engine rebuilt. I go through in detail of what's been changed on him, and also some of the difficulties we face because of the pandemic. I spent many long nights with Oppa, and this is just the first chapter of his transformation. I hope you enjoy. All right, y'all be good.
How has the lockdown changed your direction with Oppa? Like, what's the thought process now?
Well, the lockdown has changed what Oppa was originally going to be. Originally, Oppa was going to be a full build out. It was going to have essentially be a resto mod, like the Faguzzi and the Underdog project. It was going to be parceled out to masters of the craft, paint and body, engine rebuild. But we were going to get, there was going to be a disc brake conversion. The suspension was going to be overhauled. Basically, it was going to be a frame off restoration. And significant amount of money would have probably been invested into it. It would have probably been a SEMA car. That was the original thought behind it with Mike Jr. We were thinking it'd be a great build for purpose-built, his company that he started out focusing on Datsuns, especially Roadsters. So I thought this would be a perfect collaboration for him. Because I was going to be busy directing. This would have been a great car to have in the film, looking like this, and then eventually build out and then head out to SEMA at the end of the year. But the lockdown changed everything. Now, because most of the things were closed, people were scared. We didn't know what to do. It was either do nothing or come in the garage, see what was available, see what could be ordered online, see what could be bought locally, responsibly. Fortunately, I got Oppa before the lockdown happened. Fortunately, I got some of the major parts before the lockdown completely happened. And then the rest of the stuff, either Mike Jr. brought over from his garage, or it was donated from friends, or it was ordered online. So a lot of it came from Amazon and eBay. So initially, I just looked around in the garage and started to just clean Oppa. I said, well, at least I have some cleaner, some degreaser, some paper towels, some rags. So just started with that. And that took about 3 weeks, actually. And then Mike actually got Oppa running pretty quickly. So we were able to drive him around, see mechanically what the issues are with him. He hasn't been running for about 20 years. It's a 57-year-old car. So fortunately, there's no rust issues. Fortunately, the original engine actually turns over and it drives. It leaks, has issues. It smokes, it does all this stuff. It's a positive ground car, which is completely confusing. It creates a nightmare in terms of the wiring and the type of parts you can use. So it's been a challenge, but it's been a learning experience. I think because of the lockdown, the enemy either could be time, but in this case, it's become our friend, where instead of rushing into decisions, you could just take your time, because that's all we have right now. And staying at home, using the limitations, but still being creative, has created a different DNA for Oppa, if you will. Instead of being a traditional build where money's been thrown at it, I've been forced to use what's around me, use the resources I have. Fortunately, I have Mike Spagnolia Jr., who understands engines and cars with a passion. So we can always problem solve. I have Anson, producer of Songs Garage, but also former Navy electronic specialist. So anything in terms of wiring and understanding this positive ground stuff, we've been able to problem solve, and he's able to come in and basically, fix the problems or, basically fix it. And then the rest of the car, slowly, I'm looking at it. I can't send it to paint and body at this point. I can't do a lot of things that I want with it. I can't have people come over here. So I started, if you look at it, it's like, I started looking at Oppa as like a blank canvas with what I have. And I looked at Oppa and I was thinking about painting it originally factory, original paint code. I think it was this kind of off-white almond color. And that's not possible at this time. So I had extra barbecue paint and I painted this hood. That was the start. And then I went to the hardware store, got some more paint and some primer, slowly primered the whole car again, and then put the patina back. Instead of patina being dispersed everywhere and some of it dangerously starting to rust, what I did was I patched up the rust spots and then put new patina where, and it was like, there's a method to the madness. Is like, where's the patina coming from? It's fake patina. It's not real patina. The real patina is under it now, but I didn't like it. It was too messy. It was sloppy. There was nothing buttoned up. There's cars with great patina, but you can tell there's a clear coat on it. It was thought out. It's almost like a artistic representation of time. And I wanted to do that with Oppa. And my wife, she understands painting. She oil paints, so she taught me shading. I have a lot of artists in my life, and so I recalled, I said, well, if the undercoats are the original paint, and then you have the primer that whoever owned this car before me put this really thick primer on top of the original coat, what I could do is I could use the original color, the almond color, as shading. So that'll balance it out with the gray. And then as you can see, I'll show you, is that without the shading, you won't really see the fender molding here. And if you look out throughout the car now, everywhere there's fabricated shading just to give dimension to the car so it's not so flat. Mm-hmm. And of course I went with the black hood. Why did I do this? Because I put this stripe, I sanded this stripe, but it was sloppy, it wasn't clean, and I don't want to go into a sloppy Ratrod clown car. I want it to look like, wow, it stood the test of time, it's developed a character and a soul. But then I also, for myself, I want to know every corner of this car, and I want to know why that scratch, why that patina is there. And so going to the patina, I really kind of, had to do some serious thinking and find some creative inspiration of why does this car need the patina? Where is it coming from? So I found a East African safari rally, 79, 80, 81, 82 Datsun team dominated this rally. So it's almost like a Baja Desert rally, but it's in East Africa. So I saw these old pictures, and the cars, because they're going through the desert, they're all beat up. And so there's all these scratches and all this great patina, and a lot of them paint the hood black because the car gets messed up. Instead of doing the paint job, they just want to clean it up. So they put some durable paint, something like this, very high, high, like it's high heat durability. With a hot engine, the paint won't crack, it won't burn. So
weren't you originally thinking about putting a scoop on there or something?
Yeah,
or playing with the idea.
I got this temporary scoop just to see what it would look like. Because originally it was to get a roadster scoop and weld it in here.
Right.
But the 60 power Jessie, who we did a podcast with, she was saying it should be function over form, right? So 60 horsepower, I don't think you need a scoop. So it's not, maybe one day if we do an engine swap, there's a lot of horsepower under there, maybe we'll do that.
Is there any part of it being black because that was the only paint you had?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, that was the only paint I had. Just barbecue. It was barbecue paint for my barbecue. That's it. And so
nice. It's
super durable.
Yeah.
And it can withstand a lot of heat. So I thought that'd be perfect. And then painted it. And again, I put the shading in here, a little patina, sanded this down, and you see it's copper color. It's like a penny under the aluminum.
That does look interesting. I never thought it would be copper.
Yeah, me too. So what I did was I used that as a cue to go under.
Oh, you have to.
Let me pop the hood.
Is that why it's so... Is that the method to your... Oh.
So that cue is using these. I went to Home Depot and just bought a plate of copper. I think $10, and then I drilled the holes to match the stock holes behind the bumpers. And so I put the chicken wire that I found in my garden that the previous owner left behind. And so, so I did that there, and then you see I made this belt in the back. It's real subtle. So, I wanted to make it super subtle, so, it's not in your face, because I wanted to go, was this supposed to be here? But because this is going to look like a car that is a rally homage from that 79 quadruple winning team from the East African Rally, I wanted it to look like, wow, did they need all these things to use this car in the rally? So it's like a rally homage, right? So that's why now, because I have that in my head, all the scratches and everything that I'm going to put on it, like even all the equipment and the bed bar, the lights, all that stuff, even the kind of tires that I put on there eventually, it needs to be able to go cross country, to be able to do a lot of off-road rallying, right? Not like 4x4ing, but needs to be a durable, work car, right?
So what's actually standing out for me is these stripes right here. What's that?
Oh, yes. So this is an homage to Peter Brock, who I got to meet several years ago, about 3 years ago in Las Vegas. He was at SEMA. And he was at SEMA. And then I went to a fundraiser for basically it was a home for recovering drug addicts, young adults. And I took the Faguzi there, and the next day there was a Cars and Coffee, and Peter Brock showed up, and we were talking about the brake problems in the 240, and we were talking about Willwood brakes, and he was so nice. He was so generous in terms of information, and he invited me over to his shop, and he said, let's work on your car together. And it was just an honor to meet this guy who was the founder or the the brains and the soul behind BRE Racing. And BRE Racing, their color scheme, their livery was red, white, and blue, right, too. So it was usually one red stripe and a blue stripe, or vice versa. So
Nice.
I did that as an homage to Mr. Peter Brock, who
Nice.
is getting up there in age.
How about this fog light?
So this was right before there was a complete lockdown in LA. I wanted some fog lights just to see what it looked like on the car. I wanted to go with real expensive. If this went to a full rebuild, maybe I would have went with, I think they're called Marchand, Italian or French fog lights that we have on the Underdog. But they're pretty expensive. And before I committed to it, I wanted to test it out. And so I found these Volkswagen vintage replica fog lights on Craigslist. And there was a guy in Alhambra. And so I drove out there, met him. He sold me the parts. And then I asked him if he had any other parts. He said that he had like old radios and dials and knobs and stuff. So I was missing some knobs for the radio and the Oppa. So I bought some VW radio knobs as well for $3 and these. And then he gave me a rear view mirror and some side mirrors that they don't really fit, but I have them. It's like kind of cool because it was like, you know, he needed the cash, lockdown's happening. I felt good that I could do that, buy locally. And then, you know, now it's on Oppa and I'm going, I can't take it out because it's a representation, or it speaks of the time. When I look at this, I think of the guy that I met in Alhambra, that exchange, and that's kind of good old fashioned, just, you know, bartering. Like that's how you bought car parts back in the day.
Right.
So it's kind of cool. And hopefully
it looks fancy.
You know, huh?
It looks fancy, like that gold tubing.
Well, this gold tubing is actually, I wanted that Bosusuku style where there's usually a hose that comes out of the intercooler, but we don't have an intercooler because it's only 60 horsepower engine.
Right.
And but I really like that style. And this is leftover hose from my bathroom, and because there was a leak in one of the sinks. So then this is, you know, I bought a silver one, and I think I bought 3 different lengths, and so this is a leftover. And so I cut it up, and because the wire was hanging out over here, and it was kind of ugly, and I thought, let's say we went through some shrub, it would grab it and rip the wire off. So I've hid the wire under it, tucked it in there, zip tied it for now, stepped back, looked at it, and I was like going, what is the word that comes into my mind? And I go, vicious. It's looking vicious. It's almost Mad Maxy. I don't want to say Ratrod. I don't want to say that. Because Ratrod, the rats to me, there's nothing good about a rat. I don't know. Even I'm a rat in terms of my sign, my Asian horoscope, I guess, right? But in the year of the rat. But then when you call a car a rat, nah, I don't know, man. Car is your baby. It's a brother. It's not a rat, man. You know, there's nothing rat about this dude.
Right.
It may be survivalist. You know, he was a survivor like rats are, but no, he's definitely not a rat rod.
So this is like a art rod?
I don't know. I don't know. I think it's just, to me, I go back to hot rod. What does hot rod mean? What's hot rodding mean? They took old Model Ts back in the day. They took any cars that were available and the parts that were available.
Yeah. And
they made it their own. And was it all for speed? Back then, I think, yeah, you know, speed was king. But today, and then also what I've been blessed in terms of being in the fast movies, I'm desensitized to speed. Like, I don't need it. And there are cars for that, and this car is not about speed. It's I don't know what it is. I think it's history. You know,
Right.
it's a reminder of fundamentals, what's essential in life. And then because of the lockdown and the way it's coming to life and the soul that it's developing because of the circumstances, it all makes sense. It should be 60 horsepower. It can't be that. It has to have the original engine. It has to be born the tree. It has to have a crank starter. I'm thinking it has to be positive ground. All these things, like, where do you find the car today that has that education, that has that history? But do I want to drive a rinkety-dink tin box? Nah, man, I want to drive something cool. I want to drive something that represents what I like at the moment in terms of car aesthetics. And I also want to use Oppa as a symbol of, hey, anything's possible, even within limitations. If you just go into your garage and start, even just start by cleaning, great things can happen, man. Imagination and some sweat, some blood sometimes, but yeah, you just go in there and it's like, I step back and I go, without this car, what would my mental health be at this moment after almost a couple of months of not being able to leave the house, not being able to meet my friends, not being able to go to work, not being able to do the things that I love on a daily basis that I've become accustomed to. All the frustration and the creative hunger goes into Oppa. And instead of looking at this time as a curse, I look at it as an opportunity and luxury of time to create something that will be here when I leave. And hopefully a symbol of something very positive and inspirational.
So what about the rest of this? What's that buckle hook thing?
All right, let me go through this. So I think I put the most work into the front of the car. So if we start with the hood, so of course this was all just nasty in here, man. I mean, there was, you could call it patina, but I call it just gross. It was unkept. So cleaned all that up.
Yeah.
Cleaned up all the hinges, took them out, took them apart, learned the designs, which are pretty ingenious because there's no springs. It's just all mechanical. It's it's really smart, and it's sturdy. It'll last forever, man.
Forever.
So I painted as much as I could of the engine bay because it was really gross. It was nasty. And I originally taped it up with some aluminum engine tape, but then it just looked stupid. It looked like I was trying to hide stuff. And I think engine bay is like someone's closet, like their underwear closet. You open it up and you can tell a lot about somebody. And when I open this engine, when I share with it, I want to be able to point everything out, and I want people that either are interested or know nothing about manual cars or old technology with carburetors. I want to be able to basically use, have a map in here to be able to go, hey, this is the coil, this is the carburetor, this is how this works, this is the battery, this is how everything kind of connects together, right? But when it's sloppy and gross, man, you get lost in it. It becomes this maze. So eventually I want this completely cleaned up. All the hoses will be nice and new. Everything will be nice and proper. We don't need it blingy, but we need it nice and proper and working perfectly. And so really looking forward to taking this engine out and rebuilding it and getting it to drive like a brand new car, like came out of the factory. So as you see, this is a work in progress.
Yeah.
I painted this blue to give another homage to Peter Brock, BRE. Why did I do that blue? I don't know. I might change it back, but sometimes you put a color that doesn't belong. But I did use this engine, this Datsun blue. That the engine block originally is this blue. So I'm thinking if we eventually paint this will kind of match, and it'll give Mike kind of inspiration where we can kind of mix up the color, because the black and gray can get boring, and if the blue engine block is just there, we can make it nice, right?
Didn't you originally try using white paint and you ran out? And
Yeah, I had some white rust stopper, but it was like a quarter of a tank of a can. So I painted it here, and it looked really gross, man. It looked like there's something wrong with it, and so I ran out of that. And originally I was gonna go back and find more of that color so I could paint it white. Couldn't find it. Found this. This is wagon paint. So what you paint your wagon with. It's an almond wagon paint that also stops rust. Bought a can. It matches the factory. It's close. It's really close to the factory white almond. And so I just decided to, because this is temporary. Eventually this will be powder coated and everything. It'll be,
right.
it'll be done right. But for now, that's where we at. I sanded the radiator, the Nihon radiator. How awesome is that? Is that, the original Japanese radiator is still in the car. So sanded it. You see, I have the serial number. I'm really into this kind of stuff, because this is history. This part, they don't make this. It's hard to find.
Yep.
If even you can find it.
Yep.
To me, this plate is so essential. So that's always going to stay there. That's basically it's Oppa's social security number. I found this sticker, this vintage sticker, kind of cool.
Nice.
It felt right, because when I painted it, I left the original patina in the shape of the Datsun emblem. So people, the true Datsun files will know what that shape is, and then I put that sticker in there, and as it ages, patinas, it'll look nice, right? And it's a reminder to anybody working in Ninja, let's try to use as many original Datsun parts as possible, right? Keep that. The Fender Mirrors have been a real challenge, because I love Japanese style Fender Mirrors, and these are kind of the go-to. So what we have on, very similar to what we have on the Fuguzi. These are knockoff, so these are probably like a couple $100, but real ones go for $500 to a couple $1,000. What? Yeah, $500 to a couple $1,000 for real Japanese period correct.
Okay.
So before we committed to it, we tried all of these different type of mirrors. You got the American, you could probably off like a Chevy or a Ford. It doesn't look right. This looks too sleek. This is what it had on it. But these are all broken. And then I found out these are not the original. These are some cheap stuff I found on Amazon. You can get them for like $10. And I didn't feel like that, I didn't want to put super cheap $10 mirrors back on this. And obviously they did not last very long. And so I was scrolling the internet, and I stumbled on Mini Cooper parts. And I saw these mirrors similar to this, and it led me to a company locally in LA, City of Industry to be exact, and these were around $69. And I was like, nah, they don't look like that. The picture made them look like this, right? I was like, nah, they don't. And I've never seen this on a Japanese car. I was like, maybe they might be too small. They probably are made out of plastic, but they made look like aluminum for $60. Ordered it. It shows up, and it's actually an amazing mirror. It's It's a great mirror, man. If you ever get this mirror made, it's at least a couple G's, dude. $1,500 minimum to get this thing made. But it fits perfectly. Fits and you can adjust it. You can see so much, so it's actually functional, which is great. So, I was moving the mirror like left to right. You can actually just move the glass.
I know, I saw that.
I was like, what? We're so
genius.
stupid. Because now it looks better because it's supposed to be out like this. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, that's what you want it to be like. And then, let's see. All right, so this has taken me probably about 4 days on probably the 5th day on the lip. I don't even know why I felt like I wanted a lip on Oppa.
Yeah.
As you can see, this is factory. This is the factory lip, but with the bumper, you barely see this. So I painted this black. And when it's black, it disappears. So if you see pictures of this when it was primer gray, the front end looks more aggressive. But because I painted it black, it just disappears. And it's going, maybe if there was a lower lip, because when we put the fender flares on, I wanted something in the front, like a bumper, to kind of be able to connect. And one day, a charger, I think it was like a new charger rolled by, and it was like, it probably had Flowmaster or some aftermarket exhaust in it. It was just rumbling. And I saw these aftermarket front lip and side skirts that were carbon fiber, and they were super thin. And they had these little, like, these rods, these aluminum rods. And I was like, yo, that's clean. That looks really cool. I was like, man, I wish I could put something like that on Oppa, but it was too modern. But anyway, I went on eBay, found some $29 carbon fiber wannabe. I think they're not real carbon fiber. I think they're fiberglass. Carbon fiber look. Honda Civic front lip kit. And so it's a 3-piece kit, which was, I was like, if it's too short, I can add the 2 other pieces to extend it. But if it's too long, I could shave it down. And the Honda Accord front end, I was like, oh, Honda Civic, width is pretty thin because it's a compact car. I was like, let me try. So I ordered it, and it came out, it looked like Transformer stuff. It was just huge, gigantic wing and everything. This thing was like out to here, and it had all these like sharp edges, and this is like out to here. And then this, it was too short. So it's like there was probably about 3 inches on this side that was shorter than that side. I ordered these. These were like $5 just to test it out. I don't even know what they're called. And so the lip came in carbon fiber, super shiny. And then slowly I started shaving to just get a more balanced curve now, instead of like the sharp edges I had. Because the modern Honda Civic is like super sharp, design. And Oppa is more round. So did that. And then this part was a couple inches shorter. So I wanted to continue this copper. I had extra copper. And I saw a rally car that basically bolted like a fender back together. And it was like they beat a piece of aluminum together, and they made like a fender patch or something. And I was like, oh, that looks so industrial. And it looks super cool, man. It looks super like worn in. It was like used, and it just serves a function to it. And I was going, if this was, in a long rally, and then this fender, front lip broke because it hit a rock, and then, in the evening, the crew's trying to repair it and patch it back together for the next day. I could see they get a piece of copper and they had a piece of metal and they just start drilling this together like this, right? And then they just beat it. So I beat it with a hammer, patinaed it up, painted it a little bit, and then I put so Aaron, the guy who I bought this car from, he bought it from Hawaii, and he's Hawaiian. And I have a special place in my heart for Hawaiians and Hawaii itself. And I feel like anything Hawaii, if it comes from the right place in your heart, it's all aloha. There's so much positivity. And I wanted that Hawaii energy. And Aaron's energy, the guy who I bought the car from, I wanted a reminder of him on the car. And so this was in the back of the car by the plate. So this was, I think it's the Hawaii, yearly registration permit sticker. Like ours is in California, you just put it on the license plate. But I think they had back in it was like 90 or something like that. I think it's like 1991. They had some sticker like that, but it's cool. It's a cool design. It looks old. It fits, so I screwed it in there. And when Aaron sees this car, eventually he's going to see that. It's going to be a nice reminder. I want to keep good energy on this car. It's like, and Aaron, he was just a cool ass dude, man. He was the coolest dude. All right, so I wanted to like race cars. A lot of race cars today, and for design they put the tow hook, so it's usually like a round hook out here that drilled into the frame, so you're able to tow the car. And the other day when we took Oppa for a drive, it stalled and then wouldn't start up again, so basically just broke down, and we had to use rope. And so when I was at Home Depot, I went by the towing section, the automobile section, and they had these industrial Velcro tow straps that you could, that were made for cars. And I looked at it and I was like, this design, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And as it weathers down, that's going to look really nice. I like that. I've never seen it. It's like a mini tow hook. It actually has another hook here that's in the glove box. But for design, it's like nice. And you can see this. This was way too shiny and too new. So what I did was I made it look like rust. This is what I learned on set from the set designers. Like when they have to age a house or a room that they built that's fake, they use paint. Basically, they shade things and they distress things. So that's what I've been doing with this car. So that's why I said it is of canvas. It's now my canvas, and yeah, that's great. Endless amount of stuff.
I think the only other big thing on the outside is the bed.
Oh yeah, the bed.
Yeah,
but if you can go into detail, as you can see all the shading. Even all this is all deliberate. Everything's deliberate now. I can tell you where every scratch is now. This is made by me, because this says Datsun Racing, which doesn't exist. So this is like a fake wannabe sticker, and I knew that. So what I did is I bought it, and then I ordered it to see what it looked like. Didn't like it. Started distressing. I still don't like it because there's no such thing as Datsun Racing. It doesn't make any sense. So, and this is a sticker that I got from a magazine that one of my close friends, Greg Huang, got me a subscription to for Porsche. It's a Porsche monthly magazine that's super thick and expensive. And when the magazine came, it came with 2 of these stickers. And it's 1, 2, 3, and then just when I look at it, it's clean. For Porsche guys, they know what that is. But for me, I look at it and I think of Greg Huang and what an amazing guy he is. So there's this one and this one in the window, right? And it represents like something great. There's something great.
I like the lines. It really accents, the lines, how you kind of patina the...
Yeah, again, it's shading. This gives dimension from here to here to here,
Yeah.
even to here. Like I redid this because it was too new. So you see the new. So when I put the primer, this is a primer with Bondo that's mixed in that you get. I got at Home Depot, and it just looked too new.
Yeah.
So then I had to resand. And you see the undercoat is the original paint, so it gives a nice texture. So throughout the car, this is gonna go. So I have the East African Kenyan racing badge card, a replica that I'm gonna put here as an homage. It looks nice because it's so vintage. So it's gonna feel good. And then of course I did this Dura bed.
You did this?
Got a gallon at O'Reilly's for about $80. I think if you paid somebody to do this, it would be a few $100. But I always saw, dudes in Georgia doing this to their bed.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, let me try it. It was gross. It was nasty, but it does clean it up, and it's it's functional. So now you could throw a bunch of dirt in here. It's durable and it's cleaner, right?
Wasn't it like really smelly or toxic?
Oh yeah, it was super toxic. I'm surprised I'm not dead. I am.
Nice. So, before we get into the interior, you keep. It seems like you reference a lot about rally cars, Datsun rallies, and stuff like that. How did you get the inspiration and like yeah?
Well, I was researching historical Datsun racing, and so there's BRE, there's Paul Newman's racing team, but the history of the pedigree of Datsun racing is not vast. There's not a whole lot of information and a whole lot of history. It's very limited to a certain era. And then I came across these old 60 rally cars, these Japanese rally cars, and some of it, they were like toys that were just painted and made to look like old rally cars, the vintage rally cars. And like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wonder if those actually really exist. And then I came across the East African Kenyan rally, and that is a historical rally, just like the U.S. Baja 1000. And it just so happens that Datsun that had a race history there, and for 4 years they dominated this. And it was, so
really,
yeah. So
what kind of Datsuns would they drive?
They were driving 240Zs, so they were 240s. And,
what?
Yeah.
But
off-road,
adjusted to off-road.
Yeah, totally, rebuilt to be off-road cars. But
right, big tires,
suspension, roll cages, everything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So, I was going, Oppa fits more in that world than BRE. BRE's, track racing. They're speed racing, right? And rally is more of like a cowboy race. It really is like, if you finish, just finishing is like a badge of honor. I mean, winning is amazing, but you're also competing against $3 million cars, right? And when I went to the Baja 1000, there were, VW Beetle class, and there were these home-built cars, and if those cars finished, it was so much pride because $3 million like supercars that were sponsored aren't even able to finish the race. So
right.
That says a lot about the driver and the co-driver and how the car was built, that you can actually finish that race. So I look at Oppa and I go, this is a journeyman. This guy's a survivor, and I hope he's around for another 60 years. I hope he's around another 600 years. But when you look at the car, you go, what is it saying? What is it teaching you? And I also
want people to know about this rally history, that it's cool information. It's like Datsun dominated a rally in East Africa. Come on, right? It's kind of cool. And I feel like that homage is gonna give this car, I think, that extra kind of, I wouldn't say cool factor, but it's like a extra, you know, it's, yeah, I don't know. It's
part of the soul, right?
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might change, you know? So things change every day. So right now I'm using that as like, all right, you know, it gives me justification for stuff like this, that there's rust. I mean, there's like rust spots, you know, there's cracks in the paint. You know, it's imperfect, right? So when you build a car, you try to build it perfectly. Like the paint needs to be perfect. Everything needs to be perfect and needs to be beautiful. But this, the age in the patina to me is beautiful. When something is old and you can see that it's been taken care and loved, it's sometimes nicer than something new.
Nice. All right. So, do you mind showing me the interior? What you've done for Oppa?
Sure. So the interior had a complete overhaul. The door cards were missing.
Right.
No door cards. The window crank was broken. The doors sounded like tin cans. And all the seals were gone. But door cards were a big problem because door cards are virtually impossible to find for this car. They do not exist to buy anywhere, even old, you know, tattered ones that you could try to refurbish do not exist. So what I did was I went to Home Depot. I bought a big sheet of aluminum for $23, and then I created a template with paper. You can see.
Go down one light. Okay, yeah, there
Right.
you go.
And then I used that template to create the door cards. And then I drilled these holes to just give it more of an aggressive look. And I put some aluminum plating in the back that I had in the garden that the previous owner left me. The plan was to drop this off at Rogelio's Upholstery, and he is going to redo the seat. It has the original vinyl, and I'm going to do leather with a 240 432 rivet style, very similar to the Ferguzzi, or bright seats, or just vintage 240 racing seats. And they have these rivets that will match these holes. And
But it'll stay a bench.
yeah, it'll stay bench seats, because I was thinking originally put in, you know, 2 individual racing seats, but
Yeah.
it doesn't work. I feel like this bench seat really speaks to the era of the car, and it's comfortable, you know.
Yeah.
So it'll look really cool. It'll be that extra with the homage to the vintage 240 seats.
Nice.
And then, of course, reupholstery would typically be carpet, but the original car had just this flimsy, cheap plastic. And so I used that as the template, and I found this anti-stress mat for restaurants at Home Depot. And it was just this long, like 8x5 sheet of, you know, rubber matting. And so I cut the template and I sounded in the whole car. As you can see, everything is sounded in underneath. So the whole car is sounded and sealed. There were a lot of like holes, and it was gonna make a whole bunch of noise. So I like the car nice and quiet. I like the car when you shut the door to sound like a old vintage Porsche. Boom, just like that. So
One more time. That sounded good.
boom.
Nice.
It's like almost German, that feel. So what I did was I sounded the whole door inside, so everything is super heavy, it's durable. The roof is sounded and all the floors, and then you can hear that. And then today I finished the headliner. It's the first time I ever did this. And
Wait, you did that?
I did that. I made this out of cardboard. It's Amazon cardboard from all the dog stuff that my wife orders. So I used that as the template, and then
Oh, okay.
then
I thought you meant you actually used the box right there.
no, the box is underneath this. Is in it. So this fabric covers the box.
Nice.
Right? The cardboard box. It's like 2 boxes put together. I have to tape it together. So my friend Christian, who makes puppets, I watched him make puppets with this material and adhesive glue. And so I figured, let me try, and if it's like horrible, then, maybe I'll just get it redone. But there's something that was said when you do something yourself, right?
Right.
And this kind of symbolizes for the driver's seat. It was also to cover up a mistake. I overcut. And when you do upholstery, you realize cut last. That's the last thing you should do because you can't uncut it. And so I'm using that as a lesson in life, is that don't rush. Take your time and then step back, go back, remeasure, step away, look at it, go to the bathroom, go get a drink, come back, remeasure.
Right.
And then finally, at the last moment, you can cut. And hopefully you didn't mess up. But if you mess up, find some creative way to fix it. And then in the back, here's the pen. I lost it. So there's a lot of business going on here. So as you can see, we have seat belts. We have lap belts now.
Nice.
Period correct. Cargo net. This was just off of Amazon for a few bucks. Put that on there, so it's because this doesn't have a trunk, you could put your stuff in there.
Yeah.
Tools and stuff, whatnot. It's all sound deadened back there. It's repainted.
It's nice.
Dome light, original Nissan dome light. Piece of junky plastic, but it's made in Japan.
Works now.
Here is the new starter. So there's no more key.
Go one light down. There you go.
So now there's push button. So this is from a boat, but it looks correct. It looks like it's supposed to be an Oppa. Look at that. It fit perfectly. There's a little cleanup. This has been cleaned up. This has been cleaned up. You can see the door cards. See that handle, that orange handle back there? Right at the door.
Yeah.
That's for my wife because she likes to hold on to something when she drives with me.
It's the oh shit handle.
Yeah, so that's for her. Yeah, that's about it. So that's the interior. Listen to this door. Boom.
Let's see. Does it sound different from inside? Let's see. Go ahead. That sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, the other door sounds even better. This door sounds like way better. Because it still has all the seals,
Oh.
right?
Yeah.
This is the way it's supposed to sound. That has a clank, but there's more business going on this door because this has actually a lock. That doesn't have an exterior lock. This is the only, you only can lock the door from this side, and then that you pull the handle down from the inside, you can lock it.
What are the lessons or things you learned while? Because I mean, a lot of this stuff, I assume this is the first time you've done,
Yeah.
right? I mean, obviously you probably just learned normal car stuff, but any other stuff, lessons that came out of it?
that anything's possible. That you put your mind to it, and creatively, if you put your heart into something, it's almost as good as something done professionally. And you know, just like you put a reason why to it. And also, what I learned during this lockdown is that there's ways to be responsible, you know. And I look at this car, and it's like a symbol of everything that should be done in the right way. And even in terms of like how one spends money, like we have to be responsible. It's like for me to dump a whole bunch of money in this thing right now when people are suffering and stuff, and it's just irresponsible. It's like, you know, it's almost like spitting in people's face, going, hey, you know, people are suffering out there, everyone's going through a tough time, but look, spent a whole bunch of money and built a cool car. And I think that was like the right, that's just not the right vibe that I wanted this car to have. I wanted when people look at Oppa, I want them to feel something positive, but that needed to be developed. And I think now I can stand behind Oppa because I look at it and I go, it's not money that this thing is, that this you know, it's not money that built this car. It's passion, and with limitation and ingenuity and just creativeness. Simple, fundamental things that we all have. And, you know, if you're creative, you can go in your garage, grab a few tools, and you can make something super cool, and you can share it. And I feel like that's why Oppa gets me excited to wake up every morning, because when it's done, it's gonna have a reason to exist, because it's gonna be able to teach people old history, this carburetor, this 400 tree, the way you start it, the whole technology is ingenuity of our species. And it's the best. It's representation of something that was built to last. And so I hope when people meet it, meet Oppa, you know, they also learn something and get something positive out of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you also, just the story of how much time you spent, the reason, you know, with the lockdown, and how you got the time to spend with Oppa. I mean, without the lockdown, you would have been doing a lot of other things, distracted with work and stuff like that. But with the lockdown, you were here. I mean, I don't know how many bottles of degrease you went through, but you cleaned like crazy. And I mean, I know you got a thing for cleaning, but this was like on another level of cleaning. And then after that, you just stared at it.
Yeah. Because that's, at the time, that's all I could do. I felt like I had limitations in my head of what I was capable of doing, or what my place in the build should be. And
right.
So I can come up with a vision of it, but then I didn't have the confidence to actually start diving into it. And because of the lockdown, it's either wait and do nothing or just try. And because Oppa, first of all, did not cost a lot of money to buy. And it was bought to be driven by a character in the film, and not even driven, it was just going to be parked. And, you know, having a beat up old truck is all I really needed. And that was it. And I was thinking, if it gets rebuilt and we do a full rebuild and have people do it and put some money into it, it'd be cool. But the lockdown changed everything. Mm-hmm. It changed my perspective on how much money should be invested on it, why it came into my life, what the purpose of it is. And then also, it's teaching me every day, like an older brother, going, hey man, you stop putting limitations on yourself. Get up, go do it, go try it, mess up, figure a way out, and you have nothing to lose, because at the end of the day, it's just a car. That's it, and the mistakes, and then figuring out a way out of the mistakes, or fixing the mistakes, or using the mistakes as an inspiration for a different take on it or a different design, I think is healthy. It's healthy because, what is the point of living? And with the lockdown, it's a reminder. It's like, okay, we can't go to work. We can't go see our friends. We can't go see our family. My uncle passed away. Can't go to a funeral. Can't see him. Can't get on a plane. Can't do all these things. What can we do? Can I be creative? No, you can't do that either. But the answer is, yeah, you can. And I thought creative was going to come from me writing a script or having something related to filmmaking or Hollywood. I didn't think it was resurrecting a car, creating a car, and having a connection with it, and then being taught by it every day, right?
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and it's way different than how you say, like, work on a car, like, way different than how you worked on with the Fuguzi and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So when you say that you want to teach people and you hope for people to meet Oppa, how would you do that?
Well, the plan is to do a rally.
When you say rally, that means like more people involved, or?
Well, because I'm going with this East African rally homage for Oppa, it inspired this idea of, when this coronavirus is opening up, is to do a rally drive. I mean, it's not going to be a race across the desert, but a drive across America, or the PCH. Start with a small weekend drive, and go meet some buyers of the Fast and Furious cars, the owners who actually bought the picture cars from the movie. Maybe go meet them. And I think it's a way to connect with, essentially family. So it has a great spirit to it. They can meet Oppa. Oppa can meet the Fast and Furious cars. And then we could just have a fun drive. And and finally, it'll represent, like, we're free again. We're free to drive. We're free to go cross country. So it'd be the Freedom Drive, Freedom Rally.
Nice. That means Oppa needs to get ready then.
Yeah. Yeah, so Oppa needs to get ready. So the next step is to take the engine out, rebuild it, get it strong, get it reliable. And then we want to do the disc brake conversion and change the 6-lug wheels to 4-wheel lugs, so we can have more wheel options. And then hopefully we don't have to cut too much, but we might have to cut the fenders to put the fender flares on, because we are going with wider tires, bigger tires. But man, once those tires and wheels are on, this car, Oppa, is going to look, he's going to look like he's fully dressed up in a tuxedo and he's ready to dance. Even with this patina, I think it's going to really enhance it. There'll be a bed bar. It's going to look great. It's going to look proper. It's going to look like something that no one's ever seen before. And I think, when people keep saying that, yeah, it's like a Ratrod, it's hard to call a Japanese JDM a Ratrod. Usually Ratrods are connected to old Chevys and Fords and Model Ts and Model As that were chopped up and kind of put together. But this, I don't know, it's like there's a purist element to it, because I want to keep the engine original. I want to keep the 4-in-the-tree, the transmission original, but safety, disc brakes to power, drum brakes to disc brakes. I learned from the Fuguzi not to change the lights, because I changed the headlights from the original vintage, the original bulbs to LED, and it just changes the whole,
I guess it's like the eyeballs. You know, it's like someone's eyes. All of a sudden, these beautiful, you know, these beautiful eyes that have seen so much that are kind of dim, but it has kind of like this amber, you know, this low amber, like, you know, color to it. The soft amber look is gone. It's too harsh.
Right.
And so basically we won't be driving the car too much at night. And if we do, the bed bar will probably have LED lights on there, so we could turn those on. And we have a fog light. The fog light's actually brighter than the headlight.
All right, last question. Explain to me what a positive ground is.
Positive ground? Explain to you what a positive ground is?
Sure, yeah.
So the way cars are wired, there's negative ground and there's positive ground, right? So negative is this, like in your battery has the plus is the positive and this is the negative. So the negative ground essentially is that negative ground cars, the car is the ground. So you could basically ground your car to any part of the car, right? And that's all you, so you think about that. Positive ground, you gotta get that wire and wire it all the way back to the battery, right? Into the positive, right? And
No.
no,
No.
that's not true. Okay, so
You're on the right track though.
I was.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I can't explain it, man. I don't even know what the hell it is, dude. I still don't understand it. I probably will never understand it. I don't even know why it's positive ground. Why is this car positive ground?
I know.
It makes
I
no
don't know.
sense. Someone explain to me why they even made a positive ground car. It makes no sense. It's so complicated. Was it that we weren't advanced enough to make things negative? But there were negative cars back then, right?
All right, thanks for tuning in to Sung's Garage. I hope you enjoyed this episode of getting the first look of Oppa, our 1963 Datsun 320. Now, he's truly been a blessing during this pandemic. This is such a different journey from the Ferguson underdog, and I'm enjoying every minute of it. I can't wait to share the next chapter Oppa with y'all. So, y'all be good.